Life for Black women did not begin in 1619 when the first ship of enslaved Africans arrived in Jamestown, Virginia. Life for indigenous Caribbean women did not end in 1492 when Christopher Columbus got lost trying to get to India and ended up on the other side of the world in the Bahamas. Throughout eternity, women, children, and men have adored and honored and worshiped the Divine Mother. Today, I will speak with you about 3 such women who have loved unconditionally, who have sacrificed themselves for the community, and who have led an example of wisdom for us. But first, I must pay respect to the women who raised me, who are now in the heavenly realm. I pay respect to my mother, Esther Ward Barnett, my grandmother, Hilda Ward, Auntie May, Auntie Millie, Auntie Lillian, Auntie Margaret, and I pay regards to my paternal grandmother, Titi Albury of Eleuthera, Bahamas. I must also pay regards to the mother of this sacred space, Mrs. Rosa Parks. The first woman I will tell you about is Osset. Tang, Osset Tang, Murang, Jasuchae. Osset is the mother of the universe. She created the stars, the moon, the galaxies, the continents, everything that we consider part of our universe, our solar system. She ruled in a time before time even began, in an area called Kemet, with her husband Orsair. The Greeks have changed their name to Isis and Osiris. Life was good at that time. There was peace, there was prosperity, there was bliss. Until Orsair's evil brother Set plotted to kill him. And indeed, Set not only killed his brother, but he chopped up his body into 16 pieces and scattered them throughout the universe. Naturally, Orsair was afraid for her life, Osset was afraid for her life, and for the lives of her people. But she knew she had business to handle. So she flapped her wings and flew through the planets, through the stars, over the mountains, the valleys, into the ocean, and gathered the 16 pieces of her husband's body. When she found the pieces, she made love and created our sun, the sun of our solar system, Heru, who the Greeks called Horus. Osset strategically raised her son, S-U-N, to be a divine force of nature, to bring light, to bring warmth, to bring energy, to bring power to the world. And Heru himself committed himself to being a warrior of social justice. He has been fighting this eternal battle of good versus evil. When Heru's on top, we know, because there's plenty of food for everyone, there's peace in the land, there's happiness, there's good education. But we know when his uncle is on top, that is evil, because we have pandemics, we have poverty, we have homelessness, we have slavery, we have babies being locked up in cages in immigration camps, we have the Holocaust, people being burnt en masse because of their religion. Yet Heru continues this eternal fight for good versus evil. The members of the Osset Society continue to worship Osset today. Number 2, Atabay. Growing up as a child in the Bahamas, I heard my elders whispering all the time, strange words like Guanahani, Arawak, Tano, Kuku, Kanau. I didn't know what these words mean, and I couldn't ask questions. You see, I was raised at a time and place when children were to be seen, but never heard. So I mastered the art of sucking my thumb, reading a book, and listening to every single word they said. So in time, I learned that Tano Arawak were the indigenous people of the Bahamas. I learned that canoe is the canoe, a boat, that they use to travel from place to place. I learned that cuckoo soup was their favorite food, made with a base of cassava, yam, and okra. I learned that Guanahani is the indigenous name for San Salvador. Christopher Columbus, when he came with a sword in one hand and a cross in the other, thought my people were ignorant. He actually wrote in his journal, these are his own words, "They are friendly, simple people. You are hungry, they will give you food. You are sick, they will care for you." But what did he and his man do in return? What did they do in return? They raped our mothers. They killed off our people. The vast majority of the Tano Arawaks were slaughtered by Christopher Columbus. As a child, we often read in the history books, the Arawak, well, they didn't even call them Arawaks, the people in the Bahamas, the Indians in the Bahamas, because he thought he was in India, the Indians in the Bahamas died from smallpox, syphilis, and gonorrhea. And it just seemed so normal. The history books normalized the near genocide of my people. But syphilis and gonorrhea are not like COVID-19. It doesn't just transmit around in the air. It is sexually transmitted. Christopher Columbus and his men forced themselves upon our mothers. But not all of them died. I am standing here as proof to the resilience of the Tano Arawak people. I am a descendant of the Tano Arawak people. Atabay, their goddess, their creator is Atabay. She is so bad that she created herself for herself and all by herself. She procreated twins without the help of anyone. She procreated twins all by herself. She's a powerful deity. And Atabay whispered to the people, go to the waters. The water will protect you. So they went in their canoe or their canoes, and most of them ended up throughout the Caribbean, but the most ended up in Puerto Rico. And to this day, Tano Arawak descendants in Puerto Rico still pay respect to Atabay. The final woman I will tell you about is Mariemi. Mariemi Ajansaro. Mariemi Ajansaro. Iwori mama pao. Mariemi Ajansaro. Olori Mariemi Ajansaro was a young queen, about the age of 14 or 15. She was born into a royal family and was the daughter of Oduduwa. Oduduwa is the progenitor of the Yoruba race. He was so prolific that Yorubas today number more than 100 million people, and they are all over the world. We are all over the world. Of course, the vast majority of Yoruba people are in the area the British called Nigeria. They're also secondly in Brazil, thirdly in the United States, but also in the Bahamas, in Jamaica, in Haiti, in Trinidad. Guess what? Yorubas are also in Germany, in China, Japan. Wherever there are people, Yorubas are there, making a difference in the world. Going back to Mariemi, at the time that she was queen of Ile-Ife, a city-state, people were being kidnapped from her area. People would go to the marketplace to go buy some fish, to go sell their yam, and they would disappear. People would go to the farm to plant their sugar cane, to plant their fruits, and they would disappear. Mariemi went to the river. This was a time and place when people can speak with nature, when they could hear the river, hear the ocean, hear the trees. We actually still have that power if we take the time to cultivate it. Mariemi went to the river Essemarine and said, "What should I do?" And she stayed there and she cried and she pleaded. And the river spoke back to her and said, "There is a solution to your problem. Every problem has a solution. But you will have to make a great sacrifice." Mariemi said, anything. I will do anything to save my people. And so the river told her what to do. Dress in her fine ashoke fabric, wear her gele on her head, and just stand there. Just stand in the marketplace. And so she did that. She went to the marketplace and just stood there. Sure enough, these mysterious beings who the Ifes thought were spirits, these mysterious beings came and snatched her and snatched other people. When they went into the forest where they live, the king of these people saw her and said, she is fine, oh, she is a fine sister. I will marry her and make her queen. And that is what he did. which was great because from that vantage point, Mariemi could hear everything. She sat in silence and she listened, and she heard everything. That these were not mysterious beings. These were simply men with palm fronds, with raffia. Raffia is the dried leaves from the palm tree, from the coconut tree. They would let them dry, put it on their head, cover their bodies, and the Ifes had never seen anything like that and thought they were spirits. So once she learned the secret, she went back to her Ile Ife, where she's from, and told her real husband, King Oramian, what was going on. And so the next time the mysterious beings came, the Ifes were ready. They were ready. They had fire ready, and they torched these forest people and ended slavery forever in Ile Ife. But the story doesn't end there. Mariemi returned to the river to thank God for saving her people. And she was gracious. She brought fruits, she brought yams, she brought chicken, she brought goat. She brought everything to thank God for saving her people. But River Estemarine said, well, you brought all these nice things. I love them. But what about the thing I asked for? And Mariemi said, oh, my son, you meant it? Really? You want my only child, my only son? And the river said, yes, this is what our promise was. This is what your promise was. So Mariemi cried and she begged and she cajoled and she tried to make a deal, but it didn't work, and she had to go and get Olorugbo. But her son was willing. Her son was willing to be a sacrifice to save the people of Ile Ife. As he descended into the river Estemarine, his soul ascended into heaven and he became the rainbow. To this day, the Yoruba people once a year have the Idi festival where they worship Queen Mariemi Ajensoro for sacrificing her only son for the saving of their community. So these are the three of the many, many, many women who have made a major impact on my life, who have taught me to appreciate the power of womanhood. Also, though, in my life, I have children who have taught me. I have worked in all-girls schools and have been so inspired by them. But I will tell you a little bit about my daughters, Breanna and Brooke Bennett, who came to me and said, for our 12th birthday, we want to make an impact on the world. And I was like, hi, and they're like, we want to end poverty. I'm like, wow, that's huge. Poverty? What kind of poverty? Homelessness? Hunger? Miseducation? What? And they said, period poverty. Period poverty is the case of women and girls not having the menstrual products they need to stay clean and healthy and hygiene during their menstrual cycle. So they miss school, or they miss work, or guess what? They even use the same pads over and over again. A friend of mine just told me about girls at her school who share the pads with their friends. So that is period poverty. When the girls started the organization, 2019, 20% of American girls and women suffered from period poverty. Because of COVID-19 now, 25% of American women suffer from period poverty. How do we resolve this? Really, yes, we need legislation, as they have in Scotland, so that now Scotland is providing free menstrual products for all girls and women. But we also need a change in mentality, to value the worth of women, to see the beauty in women, to see what we bring to civilization and why we should be honored. So ask yourself, how can you be like Osset? How can you go about and pick up the 16 pieces of our broken community, of our men suffering from drugs, imprisonment, false imprisonment, even legitimate imprisonment, poverty, underemployment? How do we solve that? How can you be like Atabay and transform yourself into the woman or the person you want to be? How can you be like Mariemi? What can you sacrifice for the betterment of the community? Look into your eyes and see the wisdom that is there that you can pass on to your children, your grandchildren, and your great-grandchildren. Thank you.